Hi, I'm Femi OK, and you're in the stream. Today, murder, drug wars, and racism. We discuss the killing of a Nigerian man in India and the diplomatic tensions it's generated. Monica Bilal is off this week, but Omar Bada is filling in for him. This is a tragic story of a Nigerian man murdered in Goa. The ripples are going out internationally. What is our online community saying?
You know, it's actually triggering a lot of intense feelings. In fact, we've had some video comments that we could not even share with our audience because they were so angry. And if you take a look at my screen, we have another comment here from Hani, who basically says that if the Indian government doesn't apologize and arrest the culprits, then revenge may be an option. So you can tell that this is stoking actually a lot of negative feelings in people. Of course, for those of you at home, if you would like to join the conversation, we want you to join it. So tweet us using the hashtag that you see on your screen right now, AJStream.
Now joining us in the studio as part of this conversation, we have Manu Bhagavan, and Manu is a history professor at Hunter College. He's also the author of The Peacemakers, India and the Quest for One World. Manu, it's great to have you here in the stream.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, your social media digital life, confess. What is it like?
Twitter, Facebook, stumble upon Tumblr. So I have a bit
Twitter?
of a presence.
All right, okay.
But I don't know that I tweet that actively.
All right, so where's your last tweet? 10th of November. Okay, you're a little behind. I feel today that we're going to have some more tweets going in there right now.
Right.
Okay, so Manu, we'll hear more from you in just a moment. Then I have to say that today we're involving two of our most active communities in India and also in Nigeria. So we're inviting all of you to pitch your stories, and you can do that really easily by going to our About page at stream.aljazeera.com/about, which is where I am right now. Scroll down, you will find all of our Twitter handles. You can tweet our producers your suggestions, your ideas, and your show idea could be a future episode.
Hey, my name is Andrew Slack. I'm the executive director of the Harry Potter Alliance, and I'm in the stream.
The deadly stabbing of a Nigerian national in India's Goa state has sparked local and international tensions. More than 200 Nigerians in Goa protested the killing, blocking the state's main highway for hours. They say that racism and discrimination was behind the murder, but local law enforcement officials dismissed their claims. They've arrested 51 Nigerians and one Ghanaian for rioting, arson and damaging public property. Police have also made 2 arrests linked to the murder and are searching for 6 other suspects. Indian authorities linked the case to rival drug gangs and have ordered the expulsion of all undocumented foreigners. Some Goans now refuse to do business with Nigerians, and signs reading "Say no to Nigerians" have started popping up. So is this racism or making a stand against drug gangs? And with 50,000 Nigerians living in India and 1 million Indians in Nigeria, what impact will this have on both communities? So to help us talk about this, we're joined by Charles Chibuzo. He is a Nigerian student living in New Delhi. Richie Ronsard Longtu Lugu is a president of the Congolese community of India. And we'll also be joined later by Shantaram Nayak. He's a member of the parliament in India. He represents Goa. So gentlemen, it's great to have you all here in the stream. Richie, I'm going to start off with you. Tell me about the challenges living in India as an African man. How easy is it?
I think the first challenge we face here in India as an African man is about integration. Integration is not easy. To be here integrated in the society, being an African man, is not that much easy. If you go in a society like in Africa, people usually welcome foreign, and if you go as a foreign in countries like Nigeria, like Congo, people will be coming to you, they will be talking to you, and you see every morning people will be coming and trying to know exactly what's going on in your life. So when you come here in India, in the harbor side, it's a very complex game and a different side of the game. So integration is a big fact. Finding ourselves in the Indian way of life is very difficult. And the second fact is about finding a house here in India. Renting a flat is not that much easy here in India. And everywhere you go, if you are an African, if you meet any brokers here in India, what people usually say, we don't want Africans. We don't want Africans.
Do they actually, so Richie, do they say that to your face? Would they say, you turn up and you try to rent somewhere and somebody would say to your face, we don't rent to Africans?
Yeah, of course. Myself, I've been a witness. I've tried to find a nurse for over a month. It was the same story. If you go, you meet any brokers, people say, we don't want Africans. Some guys say, we don't want Africans. But if you go in some place, people don't want to even talk to you. They don't want to even see you. And even they just see you just with the hands and say, we don't want to see Africans. So that's the second challenge. And the third challenge is walking around in the city is pretty complicated because you still have such kind of names like Kalu, like Opsi. People keep on calling you everywhere you go. So you find yourself sometimes very ridiculous. Yeah. Right. So I think these are the challenge we're really facing here in India. Integration is a big fact. Finding a place to live in India is pretty hard being an African, and walking around the city is pretty complicated. So that's why we have seen in the African community, some people trying to find some car, renting car every day because they cannot work on in the city. Yeah.
All right, Richie, we'll come back to you. I want to share with our audience the official Goan response when a young Nigerian man was murdered at the end of October. This is how the officials reacted to that incident. Have a listen to this.
Good and quality tourists will not like to visit Goa seeing such a scene. These Nigerians are like a cancer. Will affect our coastal belt badly.
Even Chief Minister Manohar Parrikar minced no words.
What happened on National Highway? Will you in other country make that kind of ruckus there on the National Highway? The way they behaved, they damaged hearse van, pulled out the body, threw the body on road. It was insult to the body also. They hit the policeman and virtually brought a major artery of the state to stand still. They were wild.
So Manu, we've got the Goan Culture Minister there, we've got Goa's Chief Minister there, and the reaction to this murder is, it's difficult to not say that that was a racist reaction, but you're Indian, so I'd rather that you maybe put that in context rather than me.
Okay, my context is that it's a racist reaction.
Okay, all right.
I think, you know, the central point here is that the claims about drug trade and violence, they didn't pop up out of thin air, these things.
Sure.
They must have been there, and in fact there have been investigations and comments about this that precede these events, but nothing has really been done about it. So there's suddenly a big hue and cry only after this. At the very least, it's extreme insensitivity on the part of the government officials, not recognizing that when you're talking about a small minority community and you stereotype and scapegoat in the way that they did, that you're causing harm, both psychological to the people who are there, who are completely innocent, who have nothing to do with it, and more broadly raising the ire of many other people who might then act on their feelings and commit other acts of violence.
Right.
Well, we actually have a tweet here along similar lines. There's an Indian man named Curious, if you take a look at my screen, who says, as an Indian, I regret the racist backlash, but there are foreign elements, criminal elements in Goa, illegal Nigerians, Russian, Israelis, etc., who should be dealt with. On the other hand, I also have this video comment from Hindol, who is in New Delhi. Take a listen to this.
I find it astounding that the Goa government is today claiming that only the Nigerian community is responsible for the ghastly drug trafficking that goes on in the state, whereas for decades the state has been a hotbed for drug trafficking. It used to be on the hippie trail, and later of course with the Russian mafia, and indeed nobody has ever done anything because it benefited everybody. So we can't really blame one community. It's a larger law and order problem.
Mr. Nayak, is there a problem there that is much wider, that the community simply is happening to be scapegoating one specific group in this case?
One thing I must admit, that the name of Nigerians in such matters I have already recently. Otherwise, Russians and Israelis are known to be creating problems there. That is there. That's why I raised the issue several times in Parliament regarding the behavior of Israelis and Russians. I was not aware of any acts of Nigerians. But other day, on 31st October, whatever Nigerians did on the national highway in Goa was shameful. They themselves should make a retrospection among themselves as to how they are behaving. Other parts of the country, hear the stories in Bombay, elsewhere, regarding the behavior of Nigerians. In Goa, they are involved in drug trade, which is also an admitted fact. They don't have passport. They misuse education schemes. They pretend to be students when they are not.
Okay,
Such
so
acts
let me
of
just,
Nigerians
Shantaram Nayak.
they should themselves introspect. And question is, now today, just I heard a few minutes back that 2 Nigerian groups have been declared as terrorist group in US.
All right, so Minister,
Therefore,
take a breath. This is Minister Shantaram Nayak. Minister, take a breath. There's a gap between me and the Minister, so he won't stop immediately, but he will stop right now. So that was Minister Shantaram Nayak of the Congress Party. Minister, do stay with us. I just want to be able to get in other people. We've got a big delay, so apologies for stepping on you just a little bit. Charles? Richie?
Yeah, please. I would like just to react about what the minister said. I don't think so in the African community in India, we do support the way the highway was hijacked. We do condemn it. But as you can see, it's a very long story. The way people have been treated here in India and such kind of treatment they've been receiving every day and those racist work. I don't think so it's something that has been well planned to say, okay, one day we go to the street and we hijack the highway. It's a result of a very long story. People have been discriminated, and that day they say, okay, it's over, because people cannot keep on supporting such kind of situation. And what I would like also to point out, because I really, the day on 31st October, I just had tears on my eyes. Why this comes so? Because I saw some Nigerian men saying, we are all same, treat us as same. They said we can be black, but our blood is still red. That was the exact message, saying it's enough. Now we need to unite. We need to have one common vision. Being African, being Indian does not really matter. But receiving such kind of racist treatment does not really make any sense. So
Minister,
that's exactly what.
Thanks, Richard. So he's a member of Parliament. Excuse me for calling you a minister. I just gave you a promotion, Minister, member of Parliament.
Yes,
so you're an MP. So Shantaram Nayak, I am looking at my computer at a comment that you made. It's in the Times of India. Nigerians misuse education schemes, violate Foreign Exchange Management Act, indulge in drug trade, and yet try to boss over Goans, which no civilized society would tolerate. Do you know, this might actually work better as a comment if perhaps you just put some Nigerians at the top of that comment, but you didn't. So do you mean all Nigerians?
You see, last year, those who were arrested in drug trafficking, out of 25, 18 were Nigerians. In 2011, out of 25 arrested, 10 were Nigerians. And 2010, out of 39 were Nigerians. Now this statistics proves that Nigerians are highly involved in drug offences.
So once again, Nigerians, not some Nigerians.
So therefore,
Manu?
So again I am repeating.
Yes, I understand. You don't need to repeat it, Shantaram. We get the point that you're making very, very clearly. Coming back to you again, but Manu?
Well, I mean, the figures that he just quoted are in the single digits or double digits out of a range of 40 to 50,000 Nigerians in the country. It's preposterous to try and label such a large community, to link such a large community with the actions of what clearly are a few, even by the MP's numbers.
Right.
I don't think anyone would deny that there are people who perpetrate crimes who come from all kinds of communities, and I think that's something that you've already mentioned on the program. But I think the problem lies in trying to identify these perpetrators of crime, to associate them with broader communities, or to talk about them solely in the terms of ethnic or regional affiliations.
So, Richie, I'm wondering whether this is a bigger issue with maybe not Nigerians, because you're Congolese, maybe it's with an issue with Africans in India. Am I broadening this out too much, or is this your experience?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to go back to what the MP said about the drugs activities. What is sure is in the African community, we do not support such kind of activities, and we condemn it. This is exactly what we can do. But I would like just to go back to one very important point. that I do not believe that a single individual can come from Africa, come here in India and do such kind of activities without being backed by local, by Indians. So what I can say is each time you put in Nigeria doing such kind of activities, you will find at least 3 to 4 Indians beyond. So what can be more interesting here is not only to bring African in the spotlight, but justice should be equal and should be fair for all, no matter who you are or what you look like, Indian or being an African. So that's a very important point of view, because what I did understand for the past 3 years here in India, at least 80% of African coming here in India to come with student visa. It means they've got only a very short stay here in India for 2 years or 5 years max. And these people will be going back to Africa. So it means arresting Nigerians people, arresting Africans, that's good, because if they are caught in such kind of activities, but that won't solve the situation, because these people finally will go back to their countries. But until and unless India won't be able actually to fund what is the worst thing, what is actually these people backing such kind of activities, I don't think so we're going to solve such kind of problems.
Okay,
and
Richie, I want to bring in the community here. Take a breath. Omar.
Charles, we actually have a couple of comments here on Facebook, one from Jacqueline referring to the murder that we referred to at the beginning of the show, saying, why do you have to make it a racial issue? It's about bad people living a high-risk life being killed in the course of their illegal activities. Now, if the victim had been a productive member of society, then we would take another look at other reasons that are going on. We also have another comment from Asmao who says, we Nigerians in India ask for justice in the proper way and manner. We can't blame a whole nation on racism, or I think what she meant is racism on a whole nation. So I just wanted to ask you, what is your sense of how widespread, obviously nobody would suggest that you would be blaming an entire society for it, but just how widespread is it? I mean, is it something that you deal with on a daily basis and you see it everywhere, or is this something that you just occasionally encounter?
For me, here in India, there is a big problem between Nigerian community and Indian people also. I guess some people are not good, some also are good. But the problem we are having here is that Indians generalize that Nigerians that come to India are not good people. They used to believe that they do only all sorts of bad things. But if you come in the real practical aspect of it, you see so many Nigerians are students, so many Nigerians are legitimate businessmen, so many Nigerians are spread all over India, especially in the southern part of India.
So Charles, how would you convince the Member of Parliament Nayak? How would you convince him that Nigerians are good folk? How would you convince him of that?
Yeah, I would take myself as an example. I am in India as a student. I studied here, still studying. I just did my course here as a physiotherapist in University of Delhi. But still, as a physiotherapist here, I did my course here. I'm still being victimized by being there also. On the road, when they see me as a black person, they believe that we are doing same thing. Even if I try to distinguish myself that I am that kind of person that is doing such a good cause, such in the medical field, that is not easy to be done here in India, which is recognized as one of the medical destinations in the world. Still, they find it difficult to believe, except they see me in the hospital with my white coat or with my white apron or whatever that we used to wear in the hospital.
Right.
So I have been a part of such humiliation by some Indians. I'm sorry to say that, but it has happened to me. I'm a practical living example.
We're going to be very frank in this conversation, so I'm just going to ask MP Nayak, I'm just going to ask you directly, do you think Indians are racist? Okay. Just as we were asking that very direct question, I couldn't get that connection to our MP. So, Manu, I'm going to share that question with you. Are we looking at a broader kind of racism, not just what's maybe not happening in Goa with a particular small group of Nigerians, right, but what's happening in Indian society?
I think I'd be careful about painting too broad a brushstroke the other way too.
Right.
So on the one hand, I would point out that there are many instances of different kinds of communities and people of color being very welcomed into the country. And one good example is a football player from Nigeria named Philip Osegale, who came down to Kerala for a football tournament, ended up staying, coaching for a while, and developed a fever, and the local population came to his aid, raised a lot of money to try to get him treatment. Unfortunately, the treatment wasn't successful, but they did try, to just out of community feelings, try to help.
Sure.
So that's just one example of the way in which I think communities can be very welcoming.
Sure.
On the other hand, I think India does have a color problem. This is manifested culturally in the sale of a number of products meant to lighten people's skin, in the way in which images and actors and actresses are portrayed in film and in advertisements where there's a preference for people with lighter skin.
Can you give us an example of that? There was a couple of beautiful actresses that you sent me as an example. So we've got a beautiful actress up here. In India, what would her skin tone be seen as?
Well, there's a preference for fair-colored fair-colored actors and actresses. It originally sort of focused on women, although there's been a greater emphasis now.
This is Madhuri Dixit. She's an actress. And
yes. There was an actress named Madhuri Dixit who is still a superstar. She led a number of films and then took some time off for a while, and then made a comeback film called Ajanachale. And in that film, unlike in many of her previous films, she had more of a tan, a darker colored skin tone.
Right.
Some people noticed and talked about a little bit about some of the variation in her look, but I don't know whether it was necessarily an active choice. It might have been. But it's an example of
we did this skin
color,
lightening program a few months ago on the stream, and we looked at how the preference was for lighter skin in India. So even with families who had a dark-skinned, beautiful child, they weren't seen as beautiful because they were dark-skinned.
Right.
But let's get back to this particular issue here, where I'm going to play you the Nigerian's ambassador to India. And I'm wondering about repercussions from this one incident and what might happen sort of internationally as well. So have a listen to this.
Nigerian people as a whole feel insulted and offended that you are more concerned, you like some others are more concerned with the welfare only of your own people in Nigeria, rather than being gravely concerned as we are with the murder of an innocent Nigerian on a street in India. So we are being given the impression that the murder of this person is unimportant to you, that your own interest is the interest of your own people.
So we're thinking about India and Nigeria as trading partners working together on the global stage. Where may this one murder take us in terms of that international relationship?
I'm hopeful it won't take us very far from cooperation and a peaceful and amicable settlement to the issue, and I'm hopeful that saner heads will prevail. I think what you're putting your finger on is the fact that incendiary comments in the aftermath of difficult incidents can have long-standing repercussions, and that being prudent and careful with your words is important.
This conversation isn't over. We've only just scratched the surface, so I'm going to take you to the post show. I know you've got 15 minutes for us at stream.aljazeera.com. But before we go there, Omar.
We have a tweet from Giresh in India who says, "It's a shame that racism has always been here in India. However, there are millions of us in India who say we love you." It's kind of a nice sentiment to end the show on.
Thankfully. Okay, so we are going to take Manu and Shantaran Nayak and Charles Chibizu and Richu Lontalungu. We're going to take them all to the post show at stream.aljazeera.com. If you haven't seen your tweet along the bottom of the screen, it's not too late. Tweet us at AJStream and we will watch you in the post show. In the meantime, let me tell you what we'll be doing tomorrow. For 2 years, Chile's youth have taken to the streets calling for equality and free university education. Now with the November 17th general election coming up, we ask, what impact have these protests had on the country's next president? If any impact at all. Stay with us. I will see you online at stream.aljazeera.com. Thanks for watching. Take care. Hello there, this is the Streams Online Post Show. We've been talking about the murder of a Nigerian national in India's Goa state. Our guest, Manu Bhagavan, he's a professor of history at Hunter College. He's also the author of The Peacemakers, India and the Quest for One World. Shantaram Nayak is an Indian member of parliament. He represents Goa. Charles Chibuzu is a Nigerian student living in New Delhi. And Richie Ronsard Lontu Lungu is a president of the Congolese community of India. Gentlemen, it's great to have you back. So, the community, we have a lot of conversation between the show and the community, and where are they taking us right now?
There's a lot of commentary about the diplomatic relations between Nigeria and India as a result of this.
Right.
Here on my screen I have a tweet from Christian who says, if this issue is not well resolved, India might end up being the biggest loser. There are more than 1 million Indians living in Nigeria. I have another tweet from Temi who says, there's already a strain in diplomatic relations. If things are not handled properly, it could go worse. And then I have a video comment from Aiku Jinyu. Take a listen to this.
The killing of the Nigerian man in Goa and the subsequent xenophobic attacks on Nigerians is despicable, to say the least. It is time for the Indian government to stand up to the responsibility of providing security for all in its territory, not just Indians. Because in my own opinion, I believe that the fallout of diplomatic relations will be more injurious to Indians than Nigerians.
Mr. Nayak, apart from your personal feelings about this, do you have any concerns about the diplomatic relations being strained between India and Nigeria as a result of this?
Not at all. You see, in fact, our traditional relationship had been for years together, and one incident is not going to spoil our relationship. And both countries have to strive to strengthen the relationship between the two countries, and we should not allow any incident between such like this what happened in Goa to mar our relationship between the two countries. At the same time, I would advise our Nigerian friends to see that not to give any cause for making disturbances in any part of the country. They have to follow the rule of the land. So also Indians residing in Nigeria, they have also to follow the rules of their particular country, and that's how we can improve upon the relationship.
So I am curious about the conversations that you're having in your state with Nigerians and also with Goans. Can you give us a little insight into what Nigerians have been saying to you since October the 31st?
Are you asking me?
I am asking you because you are MP for Goa.
What is the question?
I'm curious about
please?
The conversations that you're having with your Nigerian community in Goa.
You see, police department and other organizations are trying to have a solution to the problem, and the government has decided that even if there are small offences, those cases should be withdrawn, and that those who don't have valid document, they should allow to leave the country. Only in case of serious offences, those people can be detained, and that's the only way I feel so.
Okay, so Charles, let me bring you back into the conversation.
See, Goa is so famous that in fact I have heard that some Nigerians commit petty offences so that they can spend a few days in jail, and then they can move about in the state so that they can enjoy the hospitality of the state. They would like to live in the state, maybe with a case hanging on them for a smaller offence. That's how it is.
So MP Nayak, are you telling me that your jails in Goa are so inviting that Nigerians are coming specially to commit crimes in your state?
I will say that, but this is what I have been told.
All right. Charles, this might be a good time to bring in a Nigerian into the conversation. What are you making of what you're hearing from the MP for Goa? Yes, just give me a sense of this conversation that you've been listening to from the MP for Goa and how Nigerians are being affected in India.
Thank you, Femi. What I have to say is this. Indians are not actually good in their sense of judgment, because I have seen on occasion whereby if any black skin commits a crime, they say that they are Nigerians, even if the person is not from Nigeria. I don't know why it is so. I have had an incident whereby I was with another nationality. The person is just from Tanzania. So on that note, there was a discussion with the person, and as soon as the Indian person saw me and the person, oh, you Nigerians, you Nigerians. I was telling him we are not Nigerians. He's from another country, but he failed to believe. So if assuming that there was an offense committed by that person, it will become to be Nigerian. That is one thing. Another thing is this, like in my country, there is another notion we used to have. If we see people that look like Indians, maybe from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, we used to think they are Indians, or we say maybe you Indians. Same thing is happening here.
Right,
but
so,
I try
you
to
understand that
impression, but
right.
Indians, they don't want to know.
Okay,
then
so
coming to say that Nigerians commit crime, come to go out to commit crime is a lie. It's a big lie as far as I'm concerned. Because I have seen, I used to go on holiday whenever I have a break in my college. I used to go to Goa for 1 week on holiday during Christmas. I go there, enjoy myself with my colleagues, Indian friends, foreigners friends also, and we take up 1 week for a picnic and come back. Am I not a Nigerian? Do I go there for crime? And no, it's not so. So and I can make out from the little time I stay there that whatever thing is being done in Goa is also done with Goans, Indians. Because these people, they are foreigners. They cannot know where you keep your things. It's only the rat who lives in a house that will tell a rat who stays out where is the fish in the house. So they have been done by Goans, but at the end of the day, the Goans will be moved outside and Nigeria will be brought to the surface. That is not fair. I believe you call a spade a spade. If someone commits something, just deal it directly. Don't overemphasize that these are Nigerians. And it's affecting those of us who are students here in New Delhi as well. As a student, I am being victimized as well here. Even when I go for my extension of my visa, I have problems in extending my visa. Another person will take only 5 minutes to do that. I will take 1 hour to do it. If at all, I finally get it visa done. So this has been done in many ways. So it's that nice time they try to see that some people may do bad, but some still are good. Please don't generalize that everyone that is from Nigeria or from the dark population is bad.
Do you know what Charles is saying? What Charles you're saying, and then Manu, you said something about it's not all of India that is racist, and I think it's really important to understand that in this conversation. And the best person I feel to end the conversation with is Richie, because in the beginning, when we were online at the very beginning of the show, I asked Richie about his first impressions of India, and it was such a great way to start the program because it was positive and it was exciting, and I think we should end the program like that as well. So Richie, can you just remind us of our audience who've just joined part of this conversation about your first impressions of India?
Yeah, as I said right before in the beginning, when I came here in India the first time, I was very excited and I felt very proud, because when you are in Africa, the image of the country in Africa is pretty different from the image you find outside. So in Africa, when you go, people really love India. People love India. For them, Indians are very historical people. They want to sit with them. They want actually to understand what has made the progress from the past 500 years in the East. That's exactly why people are coming here. Right. And you take another fact. Here in India, they have a very good quality of education, and it's very cheaper. So people want to learn Haiti. People want to learn economics. They just choose their way to do it. So, and what I can understand today is, as I said right before, at least 80% of Africans living here in India are students. So let me say again that they are here for a very short period of time. They may be going back to Africa.
Okay, so Richie, I'm going to wrap up now. Give me your closing thought. Give me your last line.
Okay, sure. My last line here it's a great time to work about the relations, the bilateral cooperation between India and Africa, because these people will be going back to Africa one day. So we want to know what can become the relations between India and Africa. So the Indian government should take that matter very seriously.
Richie, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. That was Richie Lantanugu. He's the president of the Congolese community of India. We also had Charles Chibuzo. He is a Nigerian student. We had the MP for Goa, Shantaram Nayak. Thank you very much for joining us. And also Manu Bhagavan from Professor of History at Hunter College. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and your expertise with us. So, just time to tell you about tomorrow's program. For 2 years, Chile's youth has taken to the streets calling for quality and free university education. Now, with the November 17th general elections coming up, we ask what impact have these protests had on the country's next president, if they had any impact at all. That's it for now. You'll see us always online at stream.aljazeera.com. Thanks for watching.